everyone. We are back for day 14 of the Not Quite SuperMoms Bible study, and today we're talking about Deborah. And Deborah was one of the first ones in the book that I really wasn't sure if I could include her in the book, because there's no proof anywhere in the Bible that she was actually a mom. But I started thinking about it, and the more I read about her, the more I realized that she may not have been a mom in the physical sense like we would think of, but she was definitely a spiritual mom, and she led the people of Israel. So, and that's really, her job description is not that much different than ours. So I knew that I needed to include her. I think that there's definitely some things we can learn from her, whether or not she was a mom in the physical sense. So, as moms, Deborah, her title was judge. And I don't know about you, but in my household, sometimes I have to be the referee, the judge between two not so innocent parties. And, Deborah didn't get there by she didn't become the judge of Israel because she was just an whatever person. Like, she was appointed as the judge, and God blessed her as the judge because she had wisdom, because she had proven herself, and that she could make hard decisions. And as moms, isn't that what we have to do every single day? So there's a lot I can relate to with Deborah, but aside from everything she did, if you go back to her story, Barak, or however you say his name, he didn't want to go into battle without her, and we can kind of look at him and be like, really, you needed her to go with you? Like, what? But the truth is, the position of judge had God had his hand on that position. So we shouldn't really want to go anywhere without the hand of God going with us. I know I'd rather go into a tough situation with my pastor's wife than maybe with anybody else. My husband too, but I want to take somebody that I know is hearing from God, and I want to take them into the hard times with me. So we can't really get onto him that much, Barak or whatever, not wanting to go into battle without her. But the truth is, our kids, whether or not they can express it, they're not ready to go into battle against the enemy by themselves. And part of raising them is teaching them how to recognize and then fight the enemy in their own lives. So it's our job. It's our job to train them like we would train soldiers. It's our job to teach them that what they're expressing or what they're feeling might be a lie. Our feelings lie all the time. I don't always feel like doing the laundry, and the truth is, I need to do laundry. So our feelings can lie to us, and then other things, like our kids, they are probably presented with more battles than any other generation of kids growing up has ever had to. And as moms, it's our job to be warrior mamas who protect them. I actually wrote a blog about it, or no, you know what? We did a podcast, I think, one time about raising kids to be warriors and being a warrior mom. And that's what we have to do. We have to take charge. We have to lead the victory spiritually in our homes, obviously along with our husbands if you're married, because our kids fight a lot of things. And one line from the chapter that I'm going to read says, our kids aren't seasoned warriors against the enemy of their souls. Sometimes they will not be willing or able to fight the enemy on their own. And that's where we come in. Even if they think they're able, the truth is they haven't done it for years like we have, hopefully. And so we have to equip them to fight the enemy, and to go into battle with them, to lead the battle against the things that are coming against our kids. And our enemy has a whole slew of options these days. You know, sometimes it's not, you know, an actual physical enemy that we're fighting. Sometimes it's just YouTube or Netflix or social media. We're very strict with our kids, and I know that there's every opinion under the sun about how to raise our kids in this era of social media. But whatever it is, I think we can all agree on one thing, and that is we have to protect our kids. Whether you choose to protect them in one way or another, it doesn't matter. The truth is we have to protect our kids. And sometimes, you know, it is technology and all of that. Other times it's just a friend in the neighborhood that is not the best sort of friend for our kids to have. I know there have been times that it has come to my attention that my kids were hanging out with someone who was telling them to hide stuff from us, from my husband and I. And when I realized that, you know, our kids are impressionable, so they're not always going to stand up to somebody who's telling them that. And I noticed that my daughter would just change whenever that person came around. And it made me really stop and think, like, what's going on? And so then I started to just kind of observe in a more aware way. And I found that this friend was not good for our family to have. And so, you know, I wasn't sure what to do, but in the end, the Lord worked it out that that family moved away, and we didn't have that issue anymore. But we have to teach our kids how to fight. We have to teach them not fist fight. We have to teach them how to fight like the Bible says. We're not fighting against physical things or people. We're fighting against spiritual wickedness. And we have to train them from birth. Just like you imagine the soldiers that over in Asia, and they raised them from when they were little, and they would train them. I think of like Karate Kid, honestly, and like how they were trained to fight from the time they were just little. And that's what we have to do with our kids spiritually. We have to train them to be karate kids for Jesus. I mean, that's the bottom line. We have to train them to call out the lies of the enemy. They don't understand what's at stake. Think about that. They don't understand what is at stake in the battle that they're in. But God has given us years and experience and wisdom, and as parents, we do understand what's at stake. And it's up to us to fight those things and to help our kids. You know, I think when I think about our kids not understanding, when Asher, my son, was little, he, I think he was like 3 years old, four years old. Riley was a baby, and we were in a grocery store in a tiny little town in Alabama. We were at the Piggly Wiggly, and Asher, he used to just take off running down the aisle of the grocery store and come right back. And I always, you know, we got on to him. If we got on to him once, we got on to him 1,000 times about that. We were like, buddy, stay right next to us. Put your hand on the cart. You're going to have to get in the cart. We're going to strap you in. Like, what do we have to do here? And one day, my husband and I were in the Pig. We called it the Pig, the grocery store. And Asher took off running. And somebody came around the corner. We didn't know this person. And they scooped him up. And now it was unclear to me at the moment why they did that. I don't know if they were trying to teach him a lesson. I mean, don't you just love it when other people, yeah, anyway. Okay, so I don't know if they were trying to teach him a lesson or scare him or just play, because he was totally a playful little kid who would talk to anybody. I don't know what they were doing, but it definitely freaked him out. And his face, his eyes got so big, and he looked at me, and I think my husband kind of walked up. It's been a while now since that happened, but I think my husband like kind of walked up and took him from the person that had scooped him up. But he didn't do that again, you know, and that's what I'm saying. Like, our kids don't understand the dangers of not fighting the enemy, of not obeying us, of not obeying God. They don't understand what's at stake yet. It's up to us to teach them. It's our job. So this wasn't a very long chapter, but here's one thing that kind of popped into my head as I was working on this chapter for the video, and that is, you know, sometimes we can't protect our children from the things that we are not willing to give up. So you can't tell your kid, well, you can tell them, but it's not really fair to tell your kids, you know, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that. But then when they see us doing it, our actions speak louder than our words. And so if we're gonna tell our kids, if we're gonna protect our kids, we have to protect our own hearts too. So let that just be an encouragement and maybe a little challenge to all of us, that we need to fight the battle in our own lives as well, and then and help our kids understand how to put on the whole armor of God so that they can fight the enemy of their souls on their own someday.